Hey guys, we're gonna finish up writing freedom. Hopefully, you've been reading along like you are supposed to, listening along, and answering the questions. I know that you guys have had issues getting into my YouTube. I hope that it's all corrected. It's okay if it's not, because I'm going to post the videos on our Google Classroom. All right, so where we left off was in the middle. So let's go ahead and, nope, we left off on chapter 6, I think. So let's go ahead on to chapter 7. All right, let's go ahead and remember, my answers don't have to be the exact answers that you have. This is essentially just a discussion that we would have in our classroom. All right, chapter 7. What do James and Frank tell Charlotte about the West? They tell her a lot. They tell her about how the West is untamed, that there is a lot of gold and opportunities out there. They tell her that land out there is really cheap, which, of course, going back and thinking about what Charlotte's dream overall is, definitely interests her. Then they also talk to her about being a driver on their stage line. So any of those answers work. You don't have to find any evidence. Just essentially, it's at the very beginning of chapter 7, talks about what James and Frank tell Charlotte. All right. Number 2, why is Ebenezer so attached to Charlotte? It's because Charlotte reminds Ebenezer of his daughter. We talked in earlier chapters about Ebenezer kind of knowing about Charlotte, knowing that she was a girl, and this definitely supports that. He definitely thinks that, or knows that Charlotte is a girl, and reminds him of his daughter. Charlotte calls the woman that she meets on the steps of the saloon brave. Why? What is the woman doing? And do you agree or disagree with Charlotte? All right, so she's walking through town, and there is a woman standing on the saloon steps. And what she's doing, she's a woman. And of course, guys, prior knowledge to social studies, we know that women have no rights at this time. They cannot vote and participate in elections. And this woman is advocating for women's rights. She's advocating for voting, very much like both Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton that we discussed in social studies. And then, of course, you disagreeing or disagree or agree with Charlotte, how she does go to the woman, she supports her, takes a pamphlet. I'm guessing we're all going to actually agree, right? I mean, we agree with what the woman is doing. We know that women did not actually get their right to vote in this country until 1920 and passing of the 19th Amendment. But and this is taking place in the 1800s. But right, and Charlotte is a woman at this point, living like a man. So right, so she definitely agrees with what the woman is doing, and definitely gets her thinking about the whole women's rights. All right, moving on to chapter 8. What misfortune does Charlotte encounter? Oh, poor Charlotte. In this chapter, we find out that Charlotte gets hit in the eye with a horse's hoof, and she's taken to the doctor. And the doctor finds out that she is a girl, because he's a doctor and, she's lying unconscious. She figured it out. And he agrees to keep her secret. Mainly because he's seen the struggles of other women out there on the frontier and in the West, and struggling to achieve what a man can achieve. And he supports that, and he agrees to keep her secret and doesn't want to give her up. And how does Charlotte prove herself to James? Charlotte, her, of course, misfortune is that she gets hit in the eye, which, just remember, causes her to go blind. And how does Charlotte prove that to James? At this point, you're blind in one eye. That makes driving and things like that difficult, because you can't see anything on that side. So she chooses to continue to try to essentially relearn to drive. And she does this, and she proves herself at the end of the chapter, where she saves a group of people during a storm in Rickety Bridge, and lots of detail with that, but she does redeem herself and proves herself to James as being a good driver. All right, guys, moving on to chapter 9. Describe how Charlotte became a hero. She became a hero just based on the end of chapter 8. She saved all of those people, got them all to safety, and even all being blind in one eye. And so what people just looked at her as a hero and that she was amazing and great and, risked her life and she's brave. And so when she came through town, people would throw $3 coins out, if you remember, into the road. And they were like, well, if she can hit that with her carriage or stage and all that, she is, that was lucky. So she collected a lot of money doing that, really just essentially by people throwing money out at her. And she got enough money to go and buy land. We already talked about how land is cheap at this time, so which is exactly what she wanted. She buys her land and everything is going well. She rides back up to the house. She sees a figure sitting on her front steps, and it's who? It's Charlotte or Hayward. And she's so excited to see Hayward. Hayward's her best friend. We remember that she hasn't seen him since the orphanage, and just been corresponding through letters. Hayward has changed. He's into a man now, and he's got still the big ears and all that, but he's much taller. And so, but he stays the same in that the way they feel when they're together, it's like nothing has changed. They're still really good friends, and she's so happy to be with them, and she just feels total at ease, total comfort. All right, moving on to chapter 10. Why won't Charlotte go back with Hayward? She won't go back with Hayward, essentially because her whole life is there. Everything that she's worked for, everything that she dreamed about in the orphanage is right there on that property that she was able to own. And she doesn't want to go back with Hayward. She wants to live her life. She doesn't want Hayward to leave either, actually. Also, we find out that she has plans to vote. So she did register to vote. So she doesn't want to she doesn't want to give that up. And then why does it bother Charlotte that women were not allowed to vote? Well, I mean, she is a woman. Even though everybody thinks she's a man, she's a woman, and she is upset by the fact that she's doing a man's work. She's just as equal as everybody else, and she doesn't have the opportunity to vote. And then, of course, a prediction is a prediction down at the end. Will Charlotte ever let people know who she really is? How do you think people will react if she knows she's really a woman? I don't know. It doesn't say. I mean, a prediction is a prediction. I think that I think Charlotte will eventually let people know who she is little by little. And I think everyone will be, the people that are really close to her might not be extremely shocked, but everyone else, I think, obviously is going to be really shocked because women are not deemed the same as men at this time. So it's crazy for them to believe that a woman could do all the things that Charlotte has been doing. So yeah, absolutely. I do think that my prediction is I do think that she is going to come out as a woman. And I do think that obviously everybody is going to be shocked. And in the end, what names does Charlotte give the newborn colt? She names them Vern's Thunder and Freedom. I think you guys can come up with what is each meaning have. Vern's Thunder, it took the birth of the colts took place during a thunderstorm, so there's thunder. And Vern's Thunder, just a tribute to her friend Vern. And then Freedom goes back to the horse at the beginning of the story, the horse that she was really close to, the one that died, the one that essentially, if you think about it, maybe if the horse didn't die, Freedom didn't die at the beginning of the story, maybe she would have never left. Maybe she wouldn't have found her own freedom. I don't know, but lots to interpret there. But anyways, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed the story. If you're not done, definitely continue reading it along with Miss Palmer. I love this story. I really hope that you love this story. Please, please, please take the AIR test, but do not take the AIR test till you go over these questions and you've read the whole book. All right. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Here is the quiz number 27747. I would expect 100s from everyone. I'm going to check those quiz grades by Friday. If you don't think that you're going to get all this done by Friday, go ahead and hit me up and send me a text or a message or some sort of comment on Google Classroom, and we'll see what's going on. All right, guys, again, hope you enjoyed this story. I love y'all so much. Miss you every day. Mwah.